Hello and welcome to the Kentucky Today podcast. I'm Lawrence Smith, the editor of Kentucky Today. Lots going on in our Kentucky Baptist churches to advance the gospel at home and around the world. But first, I want to start with a story we first ran last week. Kentucky's Attorney General, Russell Coleman, is suing the popular children's gaming and social media platform called Roblox. In fact, Coleman is urging parents, for now at least, to get off Roblox. So I thought it was important to hear from Russell Coleman himself about what he sees as the dangers of this platform called Roblox. So here's our conversation. Well, I must admit, I'd never heard of Roblox until you filed your lawsuit, but obviously lots of parents with younger children have heard of this platform for gaming and social media. So why are you going after Roblox?
Well, I will tell you, a lot of adults haven't heard of Roblox, and those that have, it's a cartoonish, disarming. It is those that have. I heard another attorney general say this, viewed it as the safe one, by the safe one of these safe gaming platforms, because it looks like something you would see on a cartoon program. These are Lego-like characters. It looks very benign. But I'll tell you this, Lawrence, 2/3 of children in this country under the age of 13, 2/3 have a Roblox account. So you may not have heard of it. I'm a dad of younger kids. It's a challenge around our home, but kids have heard of it. 2/3 of our kids have accounts, and that's why this is such a challenge. It is, despite its benign appearance, it is the platform for predators to seek access to those kids. Because of a lack of real age verification, you have young people, and I'll admit, I found out the weekend before I filed this, that my now 14-year-old son had opened an account when he was 10 years old. Opened an account at 10. His account shows him that he's 19 years old now. So on the front end, you have kids who are too young to be on, who are creating accounts and getting on. And more frighteningly, on the older end, you have adults that are purporting to be children that are coming on and engaging and talking with our kids with minimal filtering. So you have adults, it's a playground by which adults that you don't know, some of which are predators, are engaging and seeking access with our kids. That's one of the challenges, and they're engaging with our kids, and they're getting them to leave Roblox, because to get to even more dangerous, wide open platforms like phone calls and texting. And we have instances of these predators physically harming these kids, meeting these kids, asking for addresses, finding out where kids live. I had a friend of mine who works for Fox News tell me after we filed this that her young niece at 7 years old was contacted by someone seeking her address on Roblox. So there's one. It is a platform for predators. Secondly, the absolute filth that our kids see on this platform. The platform hosts all kinds, they call them experiences, but think of them as this is a platform that holds lots of different other games. And this content, things like the Charlie Kirk assassination simulator, or as we included, these immediately popped up after Mr. Kirk's loss. The images that kids see that you think are cartoonish that they can't unsee, or that a 6-year-old, Lawrence, would walk into a room, and I have to be careful how I even articulate this on your podcast, but a 6-year-old we included an anecdote of this, is seeing images of adults engaged in sexual conduct, or that the avatar, and this is the avatar is that the cartoon character representing one of our kids would be sexually assaulted, or that there are rooms in which child abuse is occurring via cartoon. And so those traumatic, one may say that's cartoonish. Well, try explaining to a 6-year-old what they were seeing. Or we have to guard and want to guard our kids' hearts as long as possible. But by allowing our kids to play Roblox, we are failing at that task. It is a hot knife through butter of that maxim where we're told to guard our kids' hearts.
I just can't help but think Why are the creators of Roblox allowing this type of content? Did not have the control, or is it intentional?
Some of it they say they take down. They took down some of those Charlie Kirk simulators. But the reality is this is such a massive platform, and they make money. The creators and owners of Roblox, they make money by what they call user engagement, customers in the door. That's how they make money. And anything they do, and we know this from insiders, former employees of Roblox, anything that is done to create greater security barriers lessens user engagement. So lessens money in the door. And so there's a disincentive, even with the investors on investor calls. We know that this company has pushed any money spent on security versus revenue. It's a ratio that the market, in this case, investors, push this company to do less in terms of security, less in terms of protecting our kids. I mean, this is a playground for predators, but yet those that maintain the playground will not create the safe environment, will not deploy some of the technology that they have available to do real age verification. We're not trying to take down this platform. That's not the argument here. We're trying to make Roblox safe. Make Roblox safe. To use some of that smart technology that these folks have monetized, use it to keep the kids safe that you are purporting to parents you're actually doing. And Roblox, there are lots of statements out there about the great lengths they're going to make this platform safe. That is counter to reality. That's counter to the common sense that we're seeing.
So are predators getting access to Roblox by pretending to be children? How does this look?
Correct. Correct. So you have kids that are purporting to be older because there's no real age verification. My son, when he was 10, signing up, just plugged in a birth date that was 5 years older than his. There was no use of all of this advanced technology that we have to verify that. It was accepted as fact. So you have kids getting on that are younger, and then you have the 40-year-old child sex offender that's purporting to be 13 just by plugging in a different birth date. So it is known that this is the platform for predators. This is the means of predators gaining access to our kids. We see example after example of that across the country. And let me just say, Kentucky is proud to join. I'm not the first. We like to use racing metaphors here in Kentucky. I'm not the first horse out of the gate. I'm joining my colleague, the Attorney General of Louisiana, filed suit a few months ago. Kentucky's proud to join her. She's a great partner. I would predict, give it a few weeks, a few months, and you'll have a number of my colleagues from across the country joining in this fight because the threat is just too large. This is a playground for predators. And if I can say, I enjoyed the podcast, you and Mark and Chip last week, talking about this issue. The theme from that I took away, and I was so grateful for. You talked about parents need to be, and Chip said this, someone I respect a lot. Mr. Hutchinson said this. It's a reminder that parents need to be engaged in the digital life of their kids, which is 100% true. But here is why, one of the reasons we acted with exigency. If you watch my press conference, you saw a parent, a very engaged, very smart, awesome mom, someone I know well, many of us know well, with 3 young kids, someone that dialogues with her kids about technology, monitors technology. This is someone that has actively engaged in the digital life of her kids, but yet those kids snuck on and created Roblox accounts. It's like water through a crack in the ground, right? So parents can go to great lengths and should. That's our duty as parents. But the fact is that this technology is so ubiquitous. It's so everywhere. It's so readily available, and the barriers don't exist. That it's my job as the chief law enforcement officer of this Commonwealth to come alongside parents and help them protect their kids by forcing this company to make it safe, to help parents do their jobs.
Have you heard from Roblox since you filed the suit?
So Roblox has made a number of statements. At this point, we're acting through litigation. The goal is to sit across the table with other states, with Louisiana and the other states that file suit, not to drive Roblox out of business. That the goal is for Roblox to take the reasonable safety steps. They've made a number of public statements, but the reality is the threat still exists. The reality is the technology is still not being deployed in a way to keep our kids safe, and predators are still using this as a way to get access to our kids.
So you filed this suit. What happens next?
Well, let me just say, speaking directly to parents and grandparents and youth pastors and pastors, what happens next, what I would plead with you as a dad and as your attorney general, is get your kids off Roblox. The safest way to mitigate this threat is just get your kids off Roblox. When it is a safe platform for your kids, that next step, our goal is for Roblox to come to the table and take real substantive steps, not press release steps, not happy talk steps that you announce after an attorney general or two sue you, but real steps. Use that technology that you have at your fingertips. Use it to make kids safe. They can do this. The problem is that they don't want to impact their metrics. They don't want to impact user engagement. We know this. Employees from Roblox will say they won't let their kids play on Roblox because they know it's not safe. And so what's next is, I would predict you'll have a number of other, we'll go through the litigation, the pleading stages in Madison Circuit Court right here in our Commonwealth where we filed suit. My hope is this incentivizes Roblox to do the right thing. My hope is with Louisiana and other AGs, Roblox will sit across the table and do real substantive reform to make this platform safe for our kids.
I'll end on this. In the meantime, while this legal process is going on, you want parents to unplug their kids from Roblox.
Get your kids off Roblox, full stop. That's the safest. There's no real way, and you've heard this from the incredible parent, Mom Courtney Norris. I've heard this from countless anecdotes since then of parents that are applauding this. Parents go to great lengths. Technology, it's like the enemy padding, waiting like that lion, right? Technology looks for any opportunity to gain access to our kids. We know this is a platform that's not safe. It is a playground for predators. We know that someday, hopefully, it can be made safe. But until then, get this app off your kids' phones. Make sure your kids aren't playing Roblox. Send them. There's so many other options if they need to be engaged digitally, and of course they want to be. But this is not a safe platform. This would be equivalent to letting your kids play in that playground where there would be broken glass on the ground under the monkey bars, where you see those individuals that you don't recognize that shouldn't be there, those men that are skulking around the playground. This is the equivalent of that. That's what digital parenting looks like in the 21st century. This is not hyperbolic language. That's what parenting and grandparenting and mentoring and pastoring of youth, that's what it looks like in the 21st century. And it is different than 20, 30 years ago. But as parents, as grandparents, you go to the threats against your kids, just like as prosecutors. We go to where the threats are. As parents, as grandparents, I will tell you, as your attorney general, this is a threat to our kids, to your grandkids, to your nieces, to your nephews. Get them off Roblox. In the meantime, we'll do everything the law allows to force this company to make the platform safe.
Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman, thank you so much.
Pleasure as always, sir. Thank you.
Well, you heard Attorney General Coleman mention them, and now we're joined by Managing Editor Mark Maynard and Content Editor Chip Hutchison, who's the real star of this show, according to the Attorney General. So good to see you guys. The last point the Attorney General made, it is much more difficult to be a parent, much more challenging than it used to be when we were raising our own young children. I think you'd agree with that, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. I have two grandchildren now who are 3 and 8, almost 4 and 9, and they love the screens. They love the digital. They love all that stuff. And, we have to be so vigilant and so careful about what they're looking at. We don't allow YouTube even, because it's just access to so many bad things. There's so much bad just digitally on the internet. I had not heard of Roblox before this whole thing started, but I can understand what he's talking about there. And, praise the Lord that he's doing something about it too. And I think his message is it's pretty clear. Keep your kids away from that, and I thought his analogy of, it's just like taking your kids to a playground where there's all kinds of dangerous things and dangerous people around. This is the same thing, except it's digital. We have to be vigilant about what our kids are seeing and engaging in, for sure. And don't let them take that iPad back to their bedroom without your supervision, without you knowing what's going on. There's just a lot of things that I think I didn't have to deal with that. None of us did, but it's a new world for sure.
Chip, I think this is a demonstration of the fall, something that was probably intended originally for good has been corrupted by sin.
Yes, I agree, Lawrence. And, as I heard Attorney General Coleman talk, and I think we all are in total agreement. We're so thankful that we have an Attorney General who cares about kids and who wants to sound the alarm. And he's doing what Scripture tells us to do. We know that the devil's like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. We see that in First Peter, and this is a demonic activity. And we also see from Ephesians 6 that, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, against principalities, powers, about the darkness of this world. And that's what he's talking about. So as we've mentioned here, it is not like it was when our kids were growing up. Our children now, mine and Karen's, we have a 47 and a 49-year-old, and we knew everything they were doing because all the other parents in town would tell on them, and they were convinced they could not do one thing that they shouldn't do that we wouldn't find out about. Now it's in secrecy almost, and so thank you, General Coleman, for shining the light on this and for his very clear warning to get Roblox off of your kids' screens.
You're right. Yeah, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say one other thing. I think, kids are getting phones way too young. Those phones, you've got a powerful computer in your hand now when you have, a smartphone. And, you see kids so young, their parents giving them, and they say it's for security reasons, but they're opening the door to some bad things by just letting them have access to that. So I mean, you need to think about when you want to, when is the responsibility, when is he going to be responsible, or she, to have a phone and to use it the right way and to use it for good and not bad. And as you said, Lawrence, everywhere we turn, things that are meant for good are turning bad.
Well, as Chip said, the devil is a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And in the case of Roblox, according to General Coleman, this lion is disguised as a lamb. So we need to be careful about it. Well, it's been switching topics, been a very busy year for Kentucky Baptist Disaster Relief, volunteers responding to emergencies across the state. This week's Cooperative Program Month video gives us a bit of a glimpse into the disaster relief efforts, responses, in this case to the tornado crisis in eastern Kentucky, all this response made possible by the Cooperative Program.
My crew is, we're cutting trees. I think it's a God calling thing. It's not for everybody. I enjoy it. I love to witness to people.
I love to hear their stories. Some of them who are going through a really hard time from the devastation, they just want a listening ear. It also opens up an opportunity to pray with them and just show them kindness and someone who will just love on them even though they don't know them.
Thank you. Gosh, you are a godsend, that's for sure.
It just shows there's actually good people in the world. And you get to a point where you start doubting it. But people show up here today, and it's a blessing.
There's a lot of them knows how to take care of God's business. And this is the Lord's business. Coming out and helping somebody like me at 73 years old, wasn't expecting anything like this. I'd gone down for a little ride to do some errands, and I come back and the whole yard's full of chainsaw people. And well, you can see they took care of it.
Father, we give you the praise in everything we do. We share the gospel. That's what we're here for. When I present the Bible, I usually ask them, did they know Jesus Christ?
Well, it proves prayers are answered because, it's very humbling. And, when I talk to God every day and, He delivers.
Thank you, Kentucky Baptists, for giving to the cooperative program so disaster relief can bring help, hope, and healing to those in crisis.
That, of course, was Kentucky Disaster Relief Director Ron Crow. And Mark, it's been a busy year, as we've said, and that highlights the need for more volunteers. And you did a story this past week about their recruiting efforts. Now they've ended this year. How they doing as far as getting new recruits?
Well, they have a lot of new recruits, probably a couple, 300 even, first-time people, first-time volunteers. They had their last training session on October 11th at Campbellsville, and they had about 170 people there, not all new ones, but they had 170 people who are getting trained in different areas. And you don't just go into disaster relief and just start working. You get trained in specific areas, of your choice, your choosing of what you want to do. And that way, when you hit the ground, you're ready to go. You're ready to act. And a lot of times, Lawrence, what happens in a year where there's a lot of disaster, you get more and more people that come out to want to be a part of it. And this year they have nearly 1,000 volunteers. Now, is he going to get 1,000 people at every call out? No. These are retired people in a lot of cases. Some people who can only come on the weekends. So it's, you're limited on who can go. But as he said, it's kind of like the 80-20 rule in church, and if he can get 10 to 20% of the people from that 1,000 to come out to any stated disaster, then he's got a good base to work from. And they just have such a well-oiled machine, and the people that get into that, man, do they love it. And it's like family to them when they get together. It's not just work, it's family, and they love each other, and they are involved in each other's lives. And it's just a great thing that Kentucky Baptists can do, that Southern Baptists can do, that they can work together and do some just wonderful things, share the gospel with people. I mean, how many lives have been changed? Not just, from physically putting things back together again, but spiritually, how many lives have been changed from what they've been able to do? It's a blessing. I look at the Southern Baptist Convention, the two things you don't hear any complaining about: disaster relief and vacation Bible school. Those are the two things that they're 100%. Everybody's for them. So, and I'm for them too. I love Ron Crow. He does such a great job of being the director of this and putting this all together. There's nobody better, I don't think, in the country than him. I think Kentucky is blessed to have Ron Crow, and we're blessed to have a great team of disaster relief workers.
Indeed. Well, from disaster relief in Kentucky and across the nation to a mission effort in Cuba, taken on by a Kentucky Baptist church. And Chip, you wrote a story that is bearing lots of fruit.
Yes, Grapevine Baptist Church, which is in Hopkins County, just outside of Madisonville. Mark Parton is the pastor there, and he has a great heart for missions, for sharing the gospel. He's been to Pakistan. They have ministries in Albania, but they've, in the last few years, he's taken twice a year, takes a mission team from his church, 8 members, who go to Cuba, and Cuba is a closed country. This is the first year that they've gone that they actually, police went with them to make sure they were following the rules. But they go outside the major cities. This year they went to a village of 2,000, a village of 4,000. They have open air messages where Mark preached the gospel 14 different times. And they had 372 professions of faith this year. He preaches the gospel, allows people a chance to respond, gives them a chance to respond, and then no matter what their response is, they have eyeglass clinics, and they took 800 pairs of glasses with them and reading glasses, and they distribute those glasses free of charge. They're also able to go into homes. Now, they cannot go door to door evangelism, but if a church member wants to invite people into their home, they do that, and then Mark is able to have a gospel presentation there. So it's just a great story about intentionality of sharing the gospel and going to places that are not comfortable, that where there is some danger. He talks about a retired communist government official. Mark asked him, said, "What do you believe when you die? Will you go to heaven, hell, or will you just cease to exist?" The guy said, "Well, I'm just going to cease to exist." Mark shared the gospel with him. 20 minutes later, that man confessed Jesus Christ as his Savior. So the gospel is still flourishing in Cuba, even though the government tries to hold it down.
You can't hold that lion down for sure.
No.
Stay with you, Chip. As you know, our culture celebrates witches and ghouls this time of year. But for almost 30 years, one KBC church has been taking Halloween and using it as a gospel opportunity. They've been doing that for a long time, almost 30 years. But this year, they've added a different twist to it. What are they doing that's new?
Yes, so this is the 29th year for Southside Baptist Church in Princeton to hold a walkthrough drama. And in that drama, they present people with the question of where are you going to spend your eternity. And so interesting that, and they attract people from all over Western Kentucky. It's a free event. And even some other states travel here to see this walkthrough drama. But this year, very providentially, the student pastor at Southside, Josh Drake, had been asked by his youth about some resources, some tools that they could use to share the gospel. He ordered some gospel bracelets. And those bracelets are very simple. They have a few symbols. They have a downward arrow. They have a cross. They have an upward arrow. They have another downward arrow. And I think I've left one of the symbols out. But it is to help these students to share the gospel. The downward arrow is Jesus came to earth. He was born in a manger. He went to the cross. The upward arrow is he arose and then he ascended to heaven. And then the downward arrow is he is coming again. And so these students have been passing out these bracelets, and naturally the question is, what do these symbols mean? So before this drama has even started, and tonight is the first night, I think, of the drama. They have it for 2 weeks, very scheduled, but people are already asking, what do these symbols mean? And that gives these students an opportunity to share the gospel, to tell the story of Jesus. And it's really caught fire there. I think it's excited not just the students, but the church there as well. What a great opportunity. And this ministry of, it's called Judgment House, has reaped many hundreds and hundreds of salvations. I can remember years when my wife and I worked in that while we were still in Princeton. We would have 300-400 decisions made for Christ in 1 year as a result of that. So I would encourage your churches, southsidebaptist.com, or you can call the church, make a reservation. It will make a great impact on your youth and adults as well.
Creative way with these bracelets to start a gospel conversation. Thanks, Chip. Speaking of gospel conversations, Mark, you told us about a church that's experiencing a revival season because they're sharing the gospel. It's centered around evangelism.
Yes, church in Owen County, Kentucky, and it's New Liberty Baptist Church. And, 2017 is when this pastor that's there now, Jared Gullion, came, and he had about 10 people that were coming at that time. They're running more than 60 now, and just recently had last couple of weekends had 7 baptisms, and he credits it to the church really getting behind it and sharing the gospel, along with him preaching the gospel. And it's kind of interesting how he even came there. He was called. Somebody called and said, maybe you should apply here, or they had an opening for the pastor, and he thought about it, and he came to the church unannounced, and just to see the church and see what was going on. And it happens that the pastor couldn't make it that day, so he got up and preached. And sure enough, he was called to be the pastor there. And he's a good fella, and they're doing great things. That church, Lawrence, was the mother church for many churches in Owen County. So it has a great history. It was founded in 1801. So it's been around a while, and it looks like it's going to be around a while longer too. So that's really exciting to hear of these little churches making big impact.
Indeed, indeed. Well, we're going to wrap up with this. I would urge people to just go to our website and look at the editorial that we posted this week. Justices have a right to be skeptical over state bans on so-called conversion therapy. We editorialized about the fact that this is a restriction of free speech. So I would urge you, and this is a Colorado law that the Supreme Court heard this week. And also, we're so pleased and so grateful that the 20 hostages were released back to Israel. Continue to pray for this holding ceasefire that will ensure, we pray, the future security of Israel, the future help and health for the people of Gaza, and ensure that Hamas never comes back to power. So be in prayer for that situation in the Middle East. We can read about all these stories and more on KentuckyToday.com. While you're there, sign up for our daily email, the morning briefing. And for more on the Kentucky Baptist Convention and the cooperative program that we talked about earlier, go to kybaptist.org. Lord willing, we'll see you next time on the Kentucky Today podcast.